Now, being the CEO of growing companies, I spent a lot of time and energy in the realm of both strategy and implementation. And the only way that I'm capable of accomplishing this much while keeping burnout at bay, and I would say staying in the world of fatigue that is reasonably easy to recover from, the only way I can do that is by being extremely intentional about managing my energy. So, as leaders, what can we do to better manage our energy? Now, yeah, for sure, managing our energy involves a lot of aspects, but there are three top areas that I pay the most attention to. The first one is being aware of planned elevated levels of required energy. What does that mean? It's all the big pushes. Growing a business requires a lot of momentum. It requires us to be that force that will move things forward. And so it means that we just have to just dig in there and find that energy that's just going to propel everything, that's going to inspire, that's going to create change, that's going to move us towards our goals. And that is demanding. And so we need to pay attention to how many of those do we do. I mean, even during growth, there are a lot of things that happen, and we have to deal with unexpected challenges. Yes, we have to deal with unexpected challenges every day, but we have to do so more when we're dealing with growth because we have this plan of how it's going to go. And as we know, that plan rarely pans out. Like, hey, you thought this was going to go that way? Yeah, let me just throw a bunch of stuff your way. So dealing with those unexpected challenges, again, requires a lot of energy. And so it's really about paying attention to the number of quarters you do that for. Because obviously we need to do that. We need to be able to move toward our goals. We need to create that energy to get to our goals. So paying attention to how many quarters in a row have we done that? Because if we did it for, let's say, 2 quarters, and then we get to that third quarter, all right, let's keep doing. It's really tough to do. So unless there's a real reason, and sometimes we just have to. Sometimes it's just the nature of the beast, and we have to figure out how we're going to maintain that energy, sustain that energy, even increase that energy for an extra quarter because it's just necessary for the business. But if we're able to find a way, and maybe it's not an entire quarter, maybe it's even like a month in that quarter, a couple of weeks in that quarter, where we take that, dial it back a little bit. We take that moment to breathe a little bit. That is really important. So paying attention to how many quarters in a row have we been really pushing for that growth. So that's one aspect I look at. The second aspect I look at is really managing my schedule with a firm hand. I am talking firm hand. Saying no a lot. Now, I recognize that, there's so many things that are out of our control, and especially as leaders, we are constantly having things thrown at us. I've talked about before about determining whether we are leading by crisis of the day, and does that really need to be dealt by you? And so as much as possible, try to be in control of your schedule. Try to figure out breathing room in there. Leave room for the unexpected. I actually build in my schedule a buffer. And guess what? It always gets filled. Always. I have yet to find a day where I was, oh, I have nothing to do. What am I going to do during that buffer time? No, that has not happened yet. So try to build that in your schedule. Try to just write down your task, figure out what needs to be done, and just leave room for that unexpected to try to manage your energy. Another thing is give yourself some breathing room between meetings. For many meetings, I started making them 45 minutes instead of 60 to build that switch time. And that allows me to make notes about the meeting that just ended, to prep for the upcoming one, stretch my legs a little bit, although I do most of my meetings standing up, but still get the energy moving in the legs and all that stuff. So that is really important to do, to give yourself that breathing room between meetings, and just kind of build that buffer. So try to manage your tasks and how many meetings you have, how long they are, whether you will have a moment to recover between the meetings. So that's one way to manage energy. And even in between the two meetings, I've even meditated, like just a little 10-minute meditation, just recenter, calm the mind, and that is also extremely helpful. So a third aspect that I look at when I'm trying to really focus on managing my energy as a leader is taking time to do things that re-energizes me. And in the past, I've talked about the importance of looking after ourselves. So yes, eating well, exercising, taking time off, going outside. I've mentioned going outside before. And that kind of thing, having a good sleep schedule. But what I'm talking about here, when I'm talking about re-energizing yourself, I'm talking about doing activities that fill your cup. And I'm going to give you some personal examples here. One of the things that I do is I have a weekly golf game. And it's a later tee time just because very busy, so I certainly cannot take a day a week. But I can take a couple of hours. And of course, it's not the whole game, but I leave later during the day, a little bit earlier than most. But I do that because it completely re-energizes me. I play with some wonderful ladies who are just there to have a good time. And while I'm there, yes, I'm getting exercise because I walk the course, but I'm also just focused on this, my stick and my ball, and we chat and we have a good time. And so that really re-energizes me. Some days, some weeks, I'm like, I don't have time for this. I'm so swamped and my mind is just so full. But once I get out there, everything just kind of melts away. And then I get to really re-energize. Something else could be like playing video games. I love video games. I've been Team Nintendo since they came out. And what happens is I just get engrossed in that world. And again, taking me away from that constant, where I'm constantly thinking about problems, trying to solve them. Well, I might do that in the game, but it's not the same. It's just taking ourselves out of that mental, organizational, strategic mindset that is just constantly going. Like, we don't realize it, or maybe you do realize it, but it just always is playing at the back of our minds. And we need something that just stops that, because we need to manage our energy and we don't realize it, but it's like that thing that's always on. And so we need to find a way to shut it off, or at least reduce it for a little bit. So something that I feel is this absolutely amazing side benefit of the leader looking after themselves, managing their energy, is that by you managing your energy in this manner, you are essentially role modeling what managing energy looks like. Because you want your team members to be at the top of their game. If they're exhausted, if they have decision fatigue, they can't do that. So if you're demonstrating to the team members that it's important to be able to function successfully at high levels long term, that means managing your energy. Like most things, yes, there needs to be a balance. Like, it can't be like, oh, there's this super important thing that needs to get done absolutely today, or it's going to have a major impact on the business, but I need to manage my energy. No, of course not. We need to stay accountable and ensure that the work gets done. But if it's not possible to both manage the energy and accomplish what is needed, then that sounds to me like it's an issue that needs to be examined more closely. Because if no one has time to manage their energy, that's a problem. The team will burn out, you will burn out. And just overall, in my experience, by managing my energy in this manner, I found that I'm able to accomplish so much more and do so effectively. The quality of the output when I manage my energy is exponentially better than when I try to go all out for too long. So if you're struggling with this, I would say start with re-energizing yourself. Find those things that fill you up and tackle the rest as your energy levels go back up.